when we went to emergency care here in Ontario, I could foresee what was going to come our way, which would be a lot of financial hardship, emotional strain, depression, anxiety. I mean, there was so much fear involved with all of this, whether it was, again, financially or, our health and well-being. So I definitely put in place that regular self-care list, and had to force myself at times to honestly to stick with it. But it was really my go-to mechanism when times were tough, or I felt the anxiety or the stress that was coming our way that we were dealt with. I was still working throughout the entire time, managing practices and consulting. So I felt the stress as an assistant and as a practice manager to continue the growth. I think if you've read my blog on, I stood in the office on March 16th, I honestly felt like I didn't even know anything was happening until it happened, because I'm just go about my business day to day. And so when it did happen, I honestly thought, this is going to pass. This is, we've been through this, SARS, swine flu, it's going to pass, but obviously it didn't. And I was just in shock, trying to think and scramble for all of the details that were coming in from the associations on all the, specific protocols. I mean, it was right down to the voicemail, what we should have on voicemail. I was consulting for a doctor, and he had received a warning from the college because of his social media page, the content that he applied to it, and he didn't understand why. It wasn't clear why he was getting the warning. So everybody was really, on edge with everything. So I was sending out templates that I had done in the office. I was sending out, telling other assistants, listen to the voicemail, because nobody wanted to get warnings. Nobody wanted to get shut down. That was our biggest fear. And so I was scrambling to do that and answering calls from other chiropractors and things like that. So I thought about that going home. On my way home that night, I thought, everything's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But it really hit me that I thought, I'm a super experienced assistant who has seen some difficult times and, got experience at handling things because of those difficult times, and had faith that everything would be okay. And I was really feeling the stress and anxiety. So I thought about the patients that weren't getting their care, and they needed it. I thought about practices and doctors struggling to keep their doors open financially and to keep staff members. And I realized, like, if I have all this experience, what are less experienced assistants doing? Like, it's so hard. Or even new chiropractors, or like, if we're experienced chiropractors and practice managers, I couldn't imagine the position that even experienced chiropractors were having with assistants that wouldn't know what to do. Like, what stress on all of us, and a lot of the assistants that I would speak to, I would say to them, like, we are healthcare providers. We are, like, there was so much, media about thanking all the nurses and the doctors, of course, but at the same time, there was a huge community that we had that were going through it as well. And we were frontline workers, and we were stressed and concerned as well. I mean, every single one of us had to care about practice, patients, each other, your staff. They cared about the doctor, and then we all went home and did it for our families and friends as well. We all had that. So I really, that was the catapult for this association, really, was that I got so many calls, and I thought, we need to have a community that will support one another, that you get that answer quick, because that's what we need the most. We need to get quick answers, because we don't have time to really, be on the computer and searching for answers. And that sometimes can cause even more stress on us. So that was really 100% one of the reasons that I said, okay, now's the time for me to do this. Going to, shortened hours or, booking according for emergency care, I thought, I've got this time. And I went to the office every morning, whether there was anybody there or not. And I anticipated them coming in. And I know not all doctors had that luxury of having their assistants or, to walk into the office and say, I'll be here. I'll call you. I'll book this way. I'll make sure we get through this. And I looked at every opportunity that it would bring to us. But that's just how I live my life, is to look at opportunities in times of trouble. And so taking care of others, taking care of yourself while taking care of others is really important. So I kind of geared up for this pandemic. I mean, I went through a divorce and I geared up for it. I set myself up to be strong, to handle it, and to come out the other side being great and, still good to go. So that's sort of what I would like to do, establish that as well on the association, to give that support to assistants and practitioners. This association is for both. I've gotten a lot of questions on that. Is it just for assistants? But it's not. It's for chiropractic. It's for chiropractic and practices. So yeah, some of the things that I did, and like I said, I do the best I can, and all the things that I set out for myself and the goals that I said, this will be my go-to at times of stress. There were times I didn't want to stretch. There were times I didn't want to meditate. And it was a great learning experience that I thought on the side of patients, because I see everything kind of chiropractically and patient-wise, and you, as doctors, you probably do the same thing. And assistants, we all do that now. So it gave me a good insight into patients, even from my own perspective. And I thought, it's amazing how we know what's good for us, we know it works, and then we still don't want to do it. So I kind of dive into that mentality to figure out a way to troubleshoot that. And if I can troubleshoot it, then I can teach that to patients. I can explain it better, and communicate it better to patients. And the best way to communicate to patients is, being a bit vulnerable and saying, we say we understand and we get it, but I've shared, to a degree, things that I had gone through as well, so that they didn't feel so alone. And I think when people are struggling and stressed and overwhelmed and burnt out, you automatically feel unheard and misunderstood or not understood. So I think it's important for individually to be responsible for ourselves, that we have self-care and we manage our expectations of ourselves and our teams. And I spoke last week about hiring, and in that detail, I think so much can be alleviated when expectations of your team members are, itemized and written out and agreed upon. And I did some legwork. Today I was going to have a mental health practitioner join us, but of course, it's a terrible time right now, and she's been predisposed with clients. So I did speak to a lot of people to do some legwork on this. I have my own experience in the things I did that really helped me, which was, exercise, taking my supplements, meditation, trying to get good sleep, good night's sleep, watching my caffeine intake, eating better foods, lots of water, going for a walk, all those things that we all know. I mean, any website you look at for managing stress has all those things there. But some of the things that really helped as well, I'm super busy. I mean, time is such a hot commodity for all of us. So I really live my life looking for the best and most efficient way to do things, everything, because it gives me more time. And when I meet a new patient for the first time, I usually will speak to them and I will say to them that, everybody's priorities are time and money. I mean, obviously, our priorities are our family, our loved ones, ourselves, all of those things. But time and money are a commodity that allows us to do more of what we love to do. So I really believe in finding those efficient ways that we can manage our time so we can have more time to take care of ourselves. So having said that, I was having a hard time getting the workouts in because I like to work out for about an hour and a half. So I had a patient who came in who worked at a gym, was a fitness instructor, and she told me about a great app called Fit On, and it's FITON, and it's completely free. So right away, that it hits a couple of boxes. One, alleviates any kind of financial stress, and it also is a great time saver. It's a wonderful app, and you can choose what kind of exercise you'd like to do. There's yoga. There's also meditations. You can choose how much time you have, what intensity you'd like, what type of exercise. You can even choose a trainer, and it is 100% free dollars, which is just fantastic. So I've really been promoting that, and I started to promote that in the office, in the practice, to patients. And a lot of them were so grateful for it and started to do it. And good and bad, you can join on and connect friends, because now every patient knows when I'm working out. So it's kind of cute though, because they will message me at times and say, Cathy, go to bed. Like, why are you up doing, this workout or something? But that also, having the conversations about just Fit On that I found, that alleviated so much of my one, stress that I wasn't getting the workouts in, and I wasn't beating myself up, but it also gave a great new conversation to have with patients other than talking about COVID. So it was bringing to the table more solutions than just the same old, upsetting conversations that everybody seems to be stuck in. I don't think anybody wants to have it, and I'm sure everybody's heard this. Almost every patient that comes in will say, I'm so sick of this. I'm tired of talking about this. And then they continue to talk about it. So trying to stop the conversation being about COVID vaccines, mandates, things like that. I totally, we're very open, and we do definitely have our opinions, but I've decided that obviously my opinion is not the place, at that time. So I just even spoke to the doctors and, practitioners, and I said, I'm not talking about that. We're going to change the narrative, and we are the ones to do that. And we are the people to do that. So yeah, Fit On became a great source for me when I had very little time. I still got that workout in, or maybe it was a meditation, or maybe it was just yoga or stretching before bed. There's everything on that. It's great for practitioners and for assistants. And also meditations. I am a regular meditator. It's a practice that I've believed in for many years. But a great tool is Deepak Chopra's app. It's wonderful. There are great challenges there. And again, it's about your time. You can choose. It will say how many minutes, whether it's guided. You can just choose music. You can look up mantras. However you're feeling at that time and what you need, you can choose from a category, and it'll give you a ton of different things to choose from. Sometimes I don't know how I'm feeling, but I know there's something. So I'll go on the app, and then once I start looking, the universe is a way of supporting you, and it'll just come to me exactly what I needed that day. So that is, I think it's $95 a year, but financially, back in the day, going through the divorce, raising 3 kids alone, everything's on YouTube, and it's free. So there's lots of guided meditations and challenges that are completely free on YouTube. So I think it's a great way to cope with stress, and again, free, which is a big factor, I think, to a lot of the assistants and anybody, because, whether you have a lot of money or none, you're still affected. Everybody's affected, and everybody's nervous about it. So I did that, and I stayed connected with friends and family. Obviously, we have the internet and things like that, which is wonderful. But it's still, I had my lulls. I was estranged from loved ones for months and years, actually. and there were restrictions to be able to, see one another. Like, my partner was in New Brunswick, and for me to go in, I would have had to stay at a government hotel. I think it was $200 a night. And we had to decide, is $1,200 worth, from that. I'm reading this here. Insight Timer is a great app with free options too. That's awesome. Sarah, I think I know that one. That's great. And that's what this is about, to share with one another and things to, not just keep us going. I'd like to see us all thrive through this process and come out the other side saying, I'm glad this happened because this is what I learned about myself. So also I did, going through my divorce, I found a great therapist and became a big fan of going to a therapist and speaking to somebody. And when my partner came home last Christmas, when he went back, he had to go to New Brunswick, I called the therapist. I felt great. I was feeling pretty good. But you know what? I did a mental check. And I went back just to say, hey, I just want to make sure I am doing okay. So, and obviously she said, well, anybody who does that is doing okay. You're fine. You're on top of it. So, but I did share those things with patients, but not to burden them. I didn't complain. I didn't, I knew, again, I definitely believe that we are the space, we're the place that people can really come and feel great and not have judgment. I mean, in the mornings I get up and I say, I will judge nothing that occurs, not even myself. It is the most useless thing you could ever possibly do to yourself and to others. And the energy that it takes and the, mindset it will put you in will just set you back from all the good that you've done. So it's little mantras and things like that. I would put Post-its on my desk to say, I choose hope, rather than going down the rabbit hole of a conversation. And again, when I thought of a friend, I would just send a text or a message and say, I was just thinking of you just now. I love you very much. That's it, just simple. And they didn't have to reply, or, everybody was working and, trying to get everything done they needed to do. But I know that when I got a message, it was like, felt so good. It's what kept us going. It was that connection. So we had to work for it. I said, and I told patients that you got to search, you got to dig in and find the good, because it's there. There's Deepak Chopra. I'm a big fan of his, obviously, but I read other things. But one of his quotes is sort of, you don't find, when you're digging a well, you don't find water until you reach it. But you're still digging the well, but you don't find it till you actually reach it. So it's there. It's about living and doing and, digging for a well. You're going to find it. So I did a lot of things like that and kept in touch with family members and exercised and got out. But number one thing that I think really saved me was working and having a purpose. So I think for a lot of assistance, even before COVID, from what I know and my own experience, day-to-day working, same with doctors. I don't know that all CAs are very appreciative. I mean, I know they're appreciative, but I don't know that they express it. And sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable, for CAs, and especially new ones. They don't really know what to say to their doctor or how to respond with gratitude, But I make a point out of making sure I say thank you to practitioners for my adjustments, for the care that they give me, because I know the value of that. So I worked with a chiropractor through the pandemic, and when I was in his practice, and he would even hand me something, and I would say, thank you. And he goes, I still am kind of shocked when you say thank you every time for that, for things interacting. And I said, you're not getting that? And he said, no. And I said, are you saying it? Like, set your tone, how you are as a practitioner and how you want your practice to be. They will follow that. You know, if you're stressed and overwhelmed, a great assistant will alleviate that for you. But I think it's a great idea to make sure you go back after to say thanks for that, you know, because it's a two-way street. And I feel that a lot of assistants probably feel, you know, they do the work, they get the day done. And I've said this in the past, even if something comes up that's a problem, by the end of the day, you know, everybody's too tired to go through it. You know, nobody wants to have a meeting after work. Nobody. So I think that, and we just go, go, go. And even I've done it that I've had to say, okay, look, we've got a second. We have things we need to talk. We need to do it now. But, you know, everybody's got something to do. Everybody's busy. So things just get let go sometimes. So I think, you know, starting the day on the right foot with a good attitude, obviously, I'm not, you know, rewriting anything here. But again, it's things that we know are good for us that we just forget to do. And much like our patients with chiropractic care, you know, when it starts working and they start feeling good, they, you know, they stop doing it, you know, even though they know it works, they just automatically stop, you know, fade out and say, well, I was feeling good. So, you know, it's about being consistent with what your procedures are in your practice. Now, the Canadian Mental Health Association came out with a standard for practices and businesses and things like that for employers and employees. It's not you know, strict employers must do this. It's more about an outline that you can set up your environment with, so that it alleviates any, you know, miscommunications and things like that. I think it's a great idea. I have not done it myself, but it is a good tool to look at. And I mean, it's not mandatory. You can pick and choose what you really need in your office. And it might, I find when I read things, it doesn't all of it doesn't apply to me, but I definitely might see things to go, oh yeah, we do that. And this is what we can do instead. And that's a great tip. So it's something to really just look at and see where you're at with your practice. So that, again, you know, the busyness of the day doesn't get the best of you and things don't become resolved. And, you know, there's been experiences and I've had assistants say, you know, I don't want to bother them. So that's how they, you know, they know you've had a busy day. They went through it with you. They know how you feel, and they don't want to bother their practitioners with, you know, something that's maybe happened or how they're feeling. You know, again, for assistants and practitioners, last week I talked about hiring, and I said it is mandatory that every assistant in your practice is a patient of yours. I've been in practices where the assistants, you know, well, they're not ready, they don't do it. That's not acceptable to me. I mean, I'm not about to mandate people, but I'm here to say the importance of having an assistant that understands exactly what you do and can relate to the patient throughout their own care is just vital. And there's nothing like having somebody represent you that knows exactly what you do and why. So and reaps the benefits of it. You know, I always, in big wellness centers that I've managed, I've always ensured that the assistants are, you know, financially able to have resource, like be able to use the resources at their fingertips. The truth of the matter is a lot of them couldn't afford it. And if you have an assistant that's making, you know, so much money and only getting so many hours, they're part-time, you know, their ability to access all that you offer, I mean, to go to a naturopath is, you know, anywhere from 160 to whatever, you know, ends up. So taking that kind of money to put aside to use the naturopath. So I recommended practitioners absolutely speak to your associates and see if there can be a staff sort of incentive there. It doesn't have to be free. I don't think it's, you know, you're definitely not going to impose that on your associates. But chiropractic care, of course, and I believe that family members, and I've said this, you cannot have, like, you know, third cousin, second removed, you know, my friend's friend, you know, that can't be free care. But supporting your assistant and their family, you know, well, what's better than chiropractic, you know, and living that lifestyle to keep them healthy and well. And I believe that when they feel like you're their patient, they will be more open to talk to you about their well-being, their mental health, and you know, you're definitely going to know what's going on with them when you're adjusting them. I know that for myself. I'm full of business at work, and but when I've gone through things, I've turned to practitioners, you know, doctors, chiropractors who are good friends of mine. But the people I worked with at the time, I felt I don't really want them to know my business, you know, because I want to come in and present myself in this manner and professional manner, and I don't want that to carry over into work. I felt that way, so I went to other chiropractors. But yeah, finding a way to support the assistants, and same with, like, obviously every place I've ever worked, I would get supplements at cost and discounts on other services, free chiropractic care or complimentary chiropractic care and support. So I think when they become your patient, they will be more understanding at how much you can help them, and how good it feels to talk to you. Because, I mean, I know for me that, you know, no matter what I was going through, when you know, and I could be the boss of the whole place and have a doctor that you know, they look to me for, what to do. But if I've ever gone in to speak to them personally about things I was going through, they put that doctor hat on just like that, and they took control and supported me and cared for me and made me, I felt better immediately. And, you know, so I think that it's really about the doctor supporting the assistants, because you have all the tools to do so. And I think when you show that and do that, then they will respond to be able to talk to you. So, I mean, you know, I'm not talking about somebody who wants your ear every single day or every second. There has to be some, you know, times and setting up to speak to you, because I've also seen in the past where an assistant is, you know, will call a chiropractor at home. And I'm like, well, wait till you're at work and set a time with them. You can't, you know, bother them at home as well. Even, you know, with something little small things. But, and that's what this is for too, the support of the assistant. I really hope that they'll utilize it. That's my goal, is to show them that we really are here to have their back. And if any of them, you know, don't have anybody to speak to, or, you know, I've heard lots of people say, you know, there's so many programs online, or they promote so many programs, but they're not free. They're really hard to find. And I've managed to find different things by searching and looking locally. And, you know, maybe not going on the full website of the Canadian Mental Health Association, but, you know, your own community usually offers a lot of support. So I'll be adding those checklists and resources onto the website for assistants to use. But my phone is always on. And it is clear that I'm always happy to talk, especially with people who I respect and share the same circumstances with. So there's also a lot to be discussed when I do the chiropractic courses and chiropractic assistance courses. When they begin, there is one of the modules is communication. And team, like, you know, there's communication, team building, everything's around communication, but it will be, you know, problem solving within, if you have a larger center with multiple assistants, how that can be eliminated or avoided. And one of the things I always teach if I consult or I'm in an office for the first time, that, you know, we are doing the same position, and, you know, respect comes from same circumstance. You know, if whenever I meet somebody who's been through a divorce, or somebody who's got, you know, kids who play hockey, you know, it doesn't matter what it is, but anybody who has the same circumstances as me, they immediately have an understanding because they have the same circumstances. So I always encourage assistants to understand one another, that you're both going through the same thing. So there should be a level of understanding with one another, because I've gone in to do conflict resolution in practices with assistants, and you know, that can be avoided, and it can be avoided by having, and I spoke about this before, clear procedures that are set in place in the practice, clear expectations for the assistant's role, their responsibilities. That eliminates a lot. These are things that I had in place to eliminate confusion and miscommunication, so a practice could run smoother. But when I did go online, it is one of the things you can troubleshoot burnout with, because one of the causes of burnout is, expectations of your position in your job, in your workplace, feeling overwhelmed, feeling inadequate to do your job. There's, so many, we all know these things, but recognizing those signs, I want to provide that, but I'd rather prevent it, because we're about prevention. So going from a standpoint of prevention, I think, having regular meetings, having regular evaluations with assistants, offering them care in your practice and support. Absolutely. I always say, like, I have an appointment, I have standing appointments, and we've all, doing that, it avoids that's an expectation that you will be adjusted every Tuesday after your shift at 6 o'clock. You will be adjusted at 12 o'clock when you come in for your shifts. Having them on the schedule and make themselves new initial patients on your day, on your day book, your appointment book. It establishes and respects the appointment for them as well. And it's a really nice thing that that's their time, and you're prepared to give them that time. Because again, sometimes the assistant needs the help, and it's right now, or can I squeeze in, or can I do this? And that's okay. But you may have also wanted to get something done as well, or do something for yourself, and you're not going to say no to the assistant, so you're going to go ahead and help them. And then that leaves you not getting something else done. So having appointments, structured roles of the assistant can eliminate so many obstacles and challenges that can come up in the practice. And again, there's some really good things that employees can do for one another. I will provide this again on the website, but I printed some off, and I thought they were pretty cool. Look, I don't know an office or a practice big enough to put all of these posters. There's like, it was quite a bit of posters. But, if somebody in the practice, and you have a manager or somebody's loves to take that there's always one person in the office who loves to laminate something and change it out every month. So somebody will do that. But some of them are just, be a mindful employee. That's what this is about. And it's workload management. So the little poster can say, what can I do? And it says, create a workplace plan, discuss with your manager or supervisor. So it's about having more meetings, you're discussing things, communications there. Take time to recognize and appreciate others for their efforts and contributions. I mean, these are things that are difficult because we're super busy, and I get that. So, but there's always a time to find, there's always time to find that. And a lot of times that can be in regular meetings. So have the regular meetings. That allows for, that a meeting should be a time to discuss any type of challenges and to comment on the successes, and to come to be creative, to come together to, have more goals or set new goals. It should be a celebration. A lot of the meetings that I've, myself have attended, it's not like anything was geared towards me, but I would sit and look at the assistants' faces, and they dreaded the meetings. And when I, was alone with them, I said, why do you, I'm not judging, but why were you so reluctant? Like, you looked like you didn't want to do it. And, all of them, this was an office I was in with 5 assistants, and I spoke with each of them individually, and every one of them said, because it's not a meeting, it's just us sitting there being told what we need to do. So that happens. A meeting needs to be balanced, and that should be a time for, you're the practice owner and you're the doctor. You get to tell them what to do every day, all day. That's because you are the boss. So the meeting should be also an opportunity for your assistants to feel heard, for them to feel heard, and to alleviate any of the stresses that they're having. And then as a community, as a group and a team, it should be the effort and the mindset on how to alleviate that in a healthy, great, productive manner. There should never be, and I've sat, that particular office I sat in, when somebody came up with an issue, one of the other assistants would like roll their eyes, or, oh, we've heard this before, that's not what a meeting's for. So setting up those meetings, and again, the expectation of the meeting, have it structured, take the minutes so that there's accountability. And, and it should always start with, thanks so much for everything you're doing, guys. And, this week we did this or we did that, and a patient told me this. I wrote in one of my blogs, share your successes with your assistants, because they may not always hear the successes. And I also say that assistants should also relay compliments and good feedback from patients to the practitioner. I make sure that I do that. If a patient, is leaving, after their adjustment, and they say, that was so great, I feel so much better, thank God you guys are here, or something like that, I make sure that my doctor hears that, because we need that. We need that to, one, let us know that we're doing things right, we're on the right track, we're getting it right, and it's a confidence booster, and it's something to feel good about, that you've helped somebody. Not ego-wise, but it feeds you. It really does feed you to help other people, obviously, and to help keep going, keep doing it. So does anybody have any questions